Hello, hello. It's another Wednesday for our Lunch and Learn podcast. I'm Wendy, and thanks for tuning in, Holistic and Well. You know, February is the month of love, although I think we should celebrate love every day and not just in a particular month, but, that's just my opinion. So I thought for the month of February, being able to talk about some topics having to do with mental health and love would be appropriate. So as someone that has chronic anxiety, I think it's super important to be able to empower people and educate people so that they are equipped to be able to love someone with a chronic mental health issue. Anxiety is very real, and it's something that's experienced by over 40 million people just in the United States. That's not even counting like countries that don't really acknowledge or support mental health issues. And then you've got countries that are super supportive. I think New Zealand is like number one and the best place to live in the world. Quality of life is at the top of the list. So anxiety is very real, and with me looking back at my relationships, had I had, first of all, a healthy partner, that's step one. But if I would have had a healthy partner that was supportive and being able to work with me through my anxiety, those relationships might have had a better chance. Tilt this down a little bit. So, anxiety is a real problem. It's not made up. And, good morning. Anxiety can be something that can really be debilitating for folks. I don't have it to this extreme, but, folks have panic attacks. They get in situations where they're really not able to move forward. They're stuck. They're in that fight or flight mode. So it's very real. And if you have a partner that experiences that, that's very real for them, depending on what is happening in their world that gives them anxiety. Going back to that fight or flight, when the brain interprets a situation, they try to figure out, is this a safe situation or is this a situation that I have to figure out how to protect myself? Good morning. And so what happens chemically in your brain for that fight or flight is that the brain redirects all resources from your body to your limbs. So all the oxygen and the blood and everything is redirected from your brain, which of course you need that in a moment of anxiety to be able to critically think things. So that's redirected. And so when you have that brain fog, when you're in the middle of a situation that you're trying to figure out and your brain's trying to figure out if this is a safe place, then you don't really have the ability to think clearly. So think about that when you are talking with your partner or interacting with your partner or observing your partner struggling in a moment of like having clear thoughts and rational thinking and rational decision making, is that the brain doesn't have the oxygen and the blood flow that it needs to be able to do that. So just keep that in mind when maybe a situation irritates you or you're like, what are you struggling with? It's easy to go there as someone that doesn't have anxiety or doesn't know what that feels like. So that's that fight or flight. It's important to remember that we can't fix anxiety. We can't fix any mental health issues. And I think that's so important to remember. As someone that practices a whole person healing perspective with my clients, a lot of times they will say things like, what's wrong with me? I just want to be fixed. I just want to be normal. It's important to understand that those are very detrimental and negative statements to make either towards yourself or towards someone else. We're human beings. We don't get fixed. We learn how to manage what we've got going on. So that's super important. Folks with anxiety, trust and believe. As someone that experiences that, I wish I did not have that going on. Again, I don't have the panic attacks, but when my anxiety kicks in, I am wound so tight and my body is so tight and stressed. The cortisol is just pumping through me that it feels horrible. It feels like you can never just allow your body to be relaxed. And that is a really, really, it's not a good feeling at all. But the thing about anxiety is that people do learn how to live with it, and they do learn how to manage it, and they have very happy, fulfilling, productive, positive lives. So that's the positive. It's not logical or irrational. People worry about things that seem irrational to other folks, and it might be irrational, but that's what they're experiencing. I was just talking to a client yesterday, and they said that they had a fear of when they laid down to go to sleep, that someone was going to come in and murder them and their whole family. Now, I say that's probably a little bit too much Criminal Minds watching going on, which I can relate to that. But for me to criticize that and say, well, that's dumb, your doors are locked and that's not going to happen, that doesn't help. So it's important to be able to understand that anxiety and fear and worry is going to look different in different people. And it's not a weakness. So if you're dating somebody or you are involved with somebody seriously that has anxiety, it's important to understand like how their mind thinks. So some of the things that could be running through their mind are going to be like, what if my partner doesn't love me? And again, this is not coming from a place of rationale. It's coming from a place of when they were growing up, that they developed certain templates, certain ways of thinking based on how their experience was with their caregivers and their peers and their family. So those templates might look like that I worry about people that love me leaving. I worry about people that love me being disappointed in me. I worry about people that love me being angry at me. Those are very, very real concerns with somebody that has anxiety. And those can be cyclic like thoughts. And again, from someone that has clarity and doesn't struggle with anxiety on that level, that can look stupid, that can look irrational, that can look like a lot of different things to someone that's like, I don't understand that. We've been together 8 years and we're happy and we're doing great. So understanding that this is the thought process is a huge help. Some of the things that might cycle, like what if they're lying to me? If someone experienced as a child that they couldn't trust people in their caregivers or in their family, then that is a big thing for them. Is like, how do I know you're not lying to me? How do I know you're not going to hurt me? What if they're cheating on me? Good morning. If they have baggage from another relationship, or perhaps they witnessed their parents and one of their parents cheated. How do I know you're not going to cheat on me like that parent did with my other parent? What if my anxiety ruins our relationship? That's a big one. Because a lot of times we keep our anxiety under lock and key and we don't share and we're not very forthcoming about what that looks like. So if we haven't educated someone and we haven't informed them that, hey, I got this thing going on, it don't make sense, it's going to look weird, it's going to be probably annoying to you, then your partner doesn't really know how to interact with that because you haven't educated them or informed them. This is a big one, and I hear this a lot from clients. Well, I text him and, he didn't text me back for 3 hours. And it's like, well, let's talk about what could be going on, in those 3 hours. But again, from somebody that's struggling with anxiety and maybe having some templates regarding abandonment or loss or betrayal, they're going to struggle with someone that takes 3 hours to text back until you have that conversation and being able to talk about that more. Good morning. What if they ghost on me? That's like a huge thing in our culture now. Is like, instead of people saying, the things that need to be said, they just vamp out and they just disappear. And again, if somebody has that experience, then they're going to be like, well, it happened in this relationship. What's going to keep it from happening in this one? So it's very real. And it's important to just kind of put those things on the table. Here they are. Let's talk about them. Let's figure it out together. Just be transparent. But that's also part of the anxiety, the circle anxiety and the circle trap, is that, well, what if I share all these things with my partner and they don't love me, or they're not attracted to me anymore, or they don't want to be with me? So it can be very scary for someone that experiences anxiety of some kind to be able to be that forthcoming. So these are some of the symptoms you can look for. And of course there's more, but these are the big ones. Folks that just seem to be angry and irritable all the time, like for no reason, like just pissed off at the dog, pissed off that the paper got thrown, that direction instead of that direction, pissed off that there's extra people in line at the grocery store, just mad at the world. And that's because they don't have enough self-awareness to be able to say, I need to figure out why my emotions are so volatile. Why am I mad all the time? Because anger is actually a secondary emotion. If you are angry, there's a reason, there's another emotion behind being angry. So that could be like that you're frustrated, or that you don't feel validated, or that you don't feel heard, you are hurt. Those are all feelings that cause anger. And then you can figure out, well, what do I need to do about that to get that anger under control? So people that are constantly angry or irritable. Folks that are controlling. I was in Walmart the other day and I saw these t-shirts that really promoted this concept of I want everything to be my way. And you know what? That's not healthy, and that's not okay, and that's not cool. But that's what our society promotes. So if you've got somebody that is super controlling, and again, it's maybe not because they're being malicious or being mean about it, but when you struggle with anxiety, the fear of the unknown is what is causing that anxiety. So in my mind, if I can try to manage or control everything, then I don't have the fear of the unknown, because I am going to control it. I'm going to control the output. I'm going to control what this looks like. I'm going to control this. And of course that is not logical thinking, because at the end of the day, we only have control over one person. And that's just us. But in that anxiety mind, think about a ball of yarn, and you unravel it and you scramble it all together and then put it back into the basket. That's what anxiety can look like sometimes, with your thoughts and the way you reason through things. It's very, very real. Other symptoms include being distracted or having trouble to focus. Again, because I'm worried about managing and controlling things, that's hard for me to focus on what's happening right now. That's why one of the biggest skill sets to learn to really manage anxiety is going to be mindfulness, being able to tune into right this minute, right now, right this second. Folks that have anxiety come across as supercritical. I'm guilty of that. In raising my kids, I've had conversations with them about them feeling criticized all the time, and that's because I grew up in a household where I was criticized. And again, it wasn't because I wasn't loved or my parents were being malicious. That's what they knew, and that's what they did. And so because I didn't learn that, and I didn't understand healthy engagement with my kids on certain levels, I was overcritical at times. And as adults, they have stuff that they manage because of that. And we typically inherit our parents' emotional baggage if we don't deal with it. Avoidant or passive aggressive behavior. Man, one thing that irritates the crap out of me is someone that's passive aggressive. And that's probably because I'm a very direct and a very transparent person. But if someone's passive aggressive, that's usually because they're worried about that. What is someone going to think about me? They're not going to like me when they find this out. These are behaviors or traits that are unacceptable. So what if someone, rejects me because of that? So instead of just being able to come out again and put it all on the table and talk about it, being passive aggressive is their way of defending themselves. That's a survival mechanism. And that's to make sure that they're able to take care of themselves and keep themselves safe. So when you reframe it and look at it from that perspective of this person isn't being passive aggressive just to be a butthole, this person is in survival mode, and this is what they know how to do. This is what they've learned how to do. So that's what they do. Perfectionism. That's another huge one, is that folks, and and again, in our society, we have come to pick fun and make fun of. And so the common phrase is, well, I want my dishes done a certain way. It's just the OCD in me. And that's not okay either, because that's not about being OCD. You might have those bullet points of some of those characteristics, but it's not about OCD. It's about perfectionism, and I have to do everything right, because if I don't, I have to worry about someone rejecting me or not loving me. It's a very, very circular, cyclic type thinking process. And if you're someone that doesn't have that to manage, it's really hard to understand why this person has these feelings and these thoughts. It's very, very, very tough. So I found this online, and I thought it was really cool. These were ways that people described anxiety. And I want to share some of these because I think these are so accurate, and I think it gives folks a better understanding of what anxiety feels like for somebody that experiences it. This is on the mighty.com, and this is health and wellness website. So this person said, anxiety is like a gremlin who undermines you and sits there talking crap constantly. Now, of course, as someone that grew up in the 70s and 80s, the gremlins, you have to, if you are, post 80s born, the gremlins were those little bitty monsters that when they got water on them, they multiplied, and they just were into everything. They meddled with everything. And so having that little gremlin, that inner critic that just constantly poking the bear, I can definitely relate to that. Definitely. That's for like someone who looks in the mirror and says, oh God, look at that pimple. Oh man, I need to lose 10 pounds. Oh man, look at my stomach. Oh wow, my feet are too big. Oh, this dress is too short. And you could just go on and on and on and on. And that's that little gremlin, and I love that, and I'm going to begin to use that with my clients, is just poking, and critiquing all the time. This was a good one. So the girl in my head, I named her Sierra, and I can keep her caged up sometimes, but sometimes she screams so loudly and so horribly. I don't know why I keep darkening out there. Like we're going to die. Battery's life is good. Okay, so Sierra, the girl in my head, I can keep her caged up sometimes, but she screams so loudly and so horribly that it breaks her cage. Then she brings out the club and mercilessly beats me up with everything I have ever done in my life. Man, that is a real one. Where then you like go down memory lane and like every single thing that I have done wrong, or I think I've messed up or screwed up, I have to like revisit that and go through that whole timeline again. For sure. Good morning. Anxiety is like having superpowers but having no control over them. It's the strength of the Hulk, but it comes out as anger. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can relate to that. Let's see. You know those special effects in movies when the character's moving in slow motion but their surroundings are racing past them? That's what it's like. For sure. Because remember, when you get in that fight or flight mode, your brain diverts all of its resources, and so you can't think clearly. But yet, everything's happening around you. It almost feels like your mind is stuck on vibrate and you can't calm it down. I can relate to that. It feels like you're wading in water, and on your bad days, you're drowning and can't catch your breath. That's a great, very, very accurate description. Let's see. If you went skydiving for the first time and pulled the ripcord and your chute didn't open, that's how my panic attacks feel, and you would feel that in that second. Now, I'm not somebody that has panic attacks on a regular basis, but I have been in situations where my heart was beating really fast and I could feel my skin getting flushed and warm, and that's because that blood is being diverted to my torso and my limbs, so I can either fight or I can run. My mouth gets dry, palms are sweaty, I get hot. So I'm not having a full-fledged panic attack, but I am having these very physiological responses to like the cortisol and the adrenaline being released in my body. A couple of more here. Wow, my anxiety is so bad at times that this is all I can do. I just sit and let it happen. I get so tired, I have no more fight. That's intense. Everything is screaming, even the silence. I can relate to that one. You know that feeling of laughter? You know that feeling of laughing so hard with your friends, you just look at them and you start again and can't stop? That on the opposite end of the spectrum, I cry and have no control over it, and I don't know why I'm crying. Other than that, it would be feeling overwhelmed over little things. That's the crazy thing, is with anxiety, it's usually the little things day by day, and then when this big life stressor happens, that we just wig out. And that's because we haven't managed those little bitty stressors every day. I call it death by 1,000 cuts. You know, one little cut isn't a big deal, but if you could just cut in the same place over and over and over again, eventually your hand's going to pop open and start bleeding profusely. You know, so it's kind of the same thing with anxiety, is that when someone that struggles with it and they're not effectively managing their anxiety on a daily basis, that those little bitty triggers every day, and then if you have something big, like, you know, if like someone has passed in your family, or someone's super sick, like with COVID right now, or maybe my car breaks down, you know, I didn't remember to pay my electric bill and my lights got cut off and it's 2 degrees outside, and now I don't, you know, I'm just gonna sit in the middle of the floor and just lose my shit because I don't know what to do. Hey, in my 20s, I've done that, for sure. This is a really great, themighty.com. Go and check it out. The title of it is Ways People Describe Their Anxiety. That's what you can search on there. So what can you do as a partner, a spouse, someone that loves this person and wants to be with this person? So I have a question. Hi, will this video be available somewhere to watch later? Yes, absolutely. If you go to my YouTube channel, Holistic and Well, all of the replays are on there, as well as on my website. Great question. I probably should start saying that too. So what you can do as someone that loves somebody with anxiety. One of the biggest things is to just be chill. Learn to let things go. Learn to let little things go. And manage your own emotions. Don't be reactive to that person. Because guess what? They already have this little fire rumbling. And if you react and it's like a spark of, like a little shoot of gasoline. Whew. How many times have you, with your partner, your significant other, you've been having a conversation and just out of nowhere it just spiraled down, and you're like, how did we get here from, can you put the twist tie back on the bread, to now we want a divorce? Like, how did we get here? And trust and believe, those are real scenarios of couples that I have talked with that say, we started at this place and it just, man, in like 5 seconds it went down that path. Because remember, if you say something to a partner, hey, can you just put the tie on the bread, please? That person experiencing anxiety is hearing, oh, you're a screwed up loser. You can't even put the bread tie on. So then my response is, well, you know what? Let's just get a divorce so you don't have to deal with me. And again, it's not logical, but that's the rationale, that's the process that's going on in their head. that immediately goes from like 0 to 1,000 in 10 seconds. It's amazing. I've heard some stories. I'm like, wow, I don't know how you guys got there, but we're there, so let's deal with it. So learn to let things go, manage your own emotions, and don't be reactive. So that might bring up some good information of like, if I'm being super reactive to you, I might have my own stuff I need to deal with. Just a thought. And that's important because, you know, we all have to be responsible and own our own emotions and our own situations. We're not allowed to just say, well, that person made me feel that way, and so now I'm reactive, and now we're going down the rabbit hole. We don't get to do that. So if you're not managing your own emotions and you're being super reactive, you got to check yourself and figure out what's going on with you and work on yourself for sure. That kind of leads into, don't internalize it. Their anxiety is not about you. It's not about you. It's about them and how they view the world and view relationships. So it's not about you. If they are constantly talking about cheating and betrayal and they're worried about that, then that's probably something that came from other relationships or something they witnessed as a child. And that's what's imprinted on their head. That is the template they have. So don't take it personal. Now, that doesn't mean you don't get to set boundaries. You absolutely do. But don't internalize their critiquing or their insecurities or their fears into your own way of thinking. Don't internalize it. Because it's not about you. It really isn't. If you don't know about something, research it. If you don't understand anxiety, research it. If you go on my website, I have client resources, and I have a ton of links for you to check out. You know, I've got some blogs. There's other blogs out there. Research and understand anxiety and what it looks like and what it can come across as, and symptoms and faces of anxiety. Because the more that you understand, the more that you are going to be able to say, okay, this isn't about me. This is about you. So let's talk about that. And that's important. That is super, super, super important to be able to do that. And it takes a skill set to be able to do that for sure. So research and understand the symptoms and what anxiety looks like. I talked about a few, but there's a lot more. Insomnia is a big one. All right. No judging. Absolutely no judging. Zero judging. Zero judging. Because the minute you begin to judge and provide what you feel like is just feedback or a reaction, that person is going to immediately awaken that little gremlin inside, and that little gremlin is going to start poking the bear and critiquing. And now we're going down that timeline again of all the things I screwed up or I did wrong. So that's why it's so important to not judge. And the way that you can do that is being able to speak with your emotions. Like, I feel really frustrated when you leave the lid off the toothpaste. Instead of saying, you know, damn, do you always have to leave the lid off the toothpaste? Those are two different statements, and someone is going to hear them differently. I am owning my feeling of frustration, and it's because of this particular behavior or this particular situation, versus you're the cause of my frustration. It's different, and it sounds different to someone that is experiencing anxiety. So let the judgments go. And again, if you want resources on effective communication, I've got them. Just reach out and let me know how I can support you, and I'll be happy to give you like book titles. There's some worksheets I can point you to. There's a couple of websites, because it's really about everybody just owning their own crap and growing from it. Again, this kind of parlays into the no criticizing or minimizing someone. My second husband, he was a master at minimizing my feelings, but he had his own mental health issues. I could do a whole segment about him, and I probably, not him, but his type. And he would just minimize everything I expressed or felt, to where I began to, and I think now that's like a bullet point under gaslighting, is that my emotions and what I'm going through is very real, even if you don't understand it. And just being able to simply say, I can't relate, but I hear you. I can't relate, but I hear you. And how can I support you? Those are such easy words to say. How can I support you right now? And that kind of is, and I heard this, I think I heard this on the news. They did a segment on mental health, and I loved this, is that, and this particularly is with like men. Men are fixers, and that's not all men, because, you know, there's no such thing as all. But typically when someone begins to tell us what they're struggling with, sometimes an intrinsic reaction is, I want to fix that for you. So instead of letting that feeling run rampant, instead say, how can I support you? Do you need comfort, or do you need a solution? And I absolutely love that. Again, that's another one I'm going to be incorporating, and I already have started incorporating that with my clients, is because sometimes folks with anxiety, they don't need your solution. They don't want your solution. They just want to be reaffirmed and reassured that you still love them and care about them, and you're not going to leave them, or you're not going to judge them. So it's really about, how can I support you? Do you need comfort, or do you need a solution? And that is a huge one. You know, if somebody is in the middle of a panic attack, don't say, it's okay to question about how are they doing, but don't ask them constantly, are you okay? Because at that moment, they're not okay. But if they say I'm not okay, then they're worried about what you're going to think. So instead, being able to focus on things like, what are the coping skills that they have learned, either through therapy or their own self-taught? What are their coping skills? And that's a great conversation to have. It's like, okay, let's talk about, what are your coping skills? Let's make a list, and let's put it on the refrigerator, so that when you are in a place that you're struggling, I can support you by reminding you what your coping skills are. So like maybe breathing is one that really works well. So being able to say, hey, focus on your breathing right now, and do it together. You know, being able to take a deep breath in and count together, and being able to release it and count together, and allow the oxygen to get back in their brain. Breathing like that steadies the heart rate. And so then now we can come from like an escalated 1,000 down to maybe like a 200, where we're able to think a little bit more clearly. So not the, are you okay? How can I support you? Focus on whatever that skill is that you have talked about previously, so that you can support them and empower them. Also, what's really helpful is that when things are going well with you and your partner, asking them, hey, the other day when you were kind of struggling and I did these things, or I said these things, were they helpful? Is that something you want me to continue to do? That way you're getting feedback, and that person is also feeling very validated and very heard, because now you've been given this blueprint of how to support them, because they've said, yeah, it was really helpful for you to say, hey, focus on your breathing, and you did it with me, rather than just asking me, am I okay, and trying to make suggestions about what I should do. It was incredibly helpful. Or if they say, no, I really just want you to leave me alone when I'm in that space, then being able to just say, babe, that our past conversation, you said I wanted to leave you alone, so I'm going to go in the other room, and if you need me, I am there. I want to support you. And again, do you need comfort, or do you need solutions? And it's just those really easy conversations that you might have to initiate, but have those conversations when that person is not in crisis, when they're not in a big anxiety place. That way they can give you that honest feedback and really tell you what they need and how that impacted them. When you are supporting someone with mental health issues, it's really, really helpful to use we statements instead of you statements. Think about it. When you're in the midst of struggling, or emotions are high, and someone begins to say, well, you really just should, hello, you really should just do this, or you that. That can begin to feel a little bit like an attack. Like, whoa, step back a few feet. But if you begin to use we statements and say, okay, I know we're feeling a little out of control right now. What can we do? And it's not so much that you are owning and taking on their anxiety, but instead of pointing out that you're in the midst of this, you're supporting them by letting them know, hey, I'm here. This is we're doing this together. So being able to transform the I and the you statements to be able to say we statements. And again, that might be something you have to write out and practice. These are new skill sets probably for you as well. Loving somebody with anxiety, but being able to practice doing that is really important. And those are skills that you can transfer over into other situations for sure. Who hasn't been in a situation at work where somebody was just emotional and out of control? So if you're that person that you have those skill sets because you use them and practice them at home a lot with your significant other, you're able to transfer those skill sets to another context, and who knows how you're impacting that person. Maybe that person never felt validated or heard, and you're able to do that through these skill sets that you've practiced. This is probably the biggest thing that you can do, is to take care of you. Take care of you. That means self-care. That means being able to pour into your cup and do the things that you need to do to take care of yourself, so that you have the ability and the flexibility to deal with someone that might be in a place that is escalated or elevated or reactive. But if you're taking care of yourself, you're less likely to join them in that reactive place. You're more likely to be able to say, okay, let's do our breathing and let's do that together. So take care of you. And part of taking care of you means that you are setting boundaries. Just because somebody has anxiety does not give them the right to trample you, to talk badly to you, to call you names, to be disrespectful. That's no excuse at all. And if you're in that high place, that intense place, you might have to walk away for a little while and then come back to that situation later and talk about, hey, I didn't appreciate you calling me out of my name when you were struggling. I understand you were struggling, but that's not okay. And I would really appreciate if you didn't do that. That's hurtful, and it makes me feel disrespected. So taking care of yourself and really setting those boundaries is important. Make sure you have a life of your own. You do not have to be 24/7 with someone that is your partner. And I really encourage couples to have their own life and continue their autonomy and continue their own individual journey, because then that makes you more interesting and more just being able to come back and talk about and have those experiences and share those experiences with each other, versus that we're together constantly. If you see a couple that's constantly together, that's probably a codependent relationship. Just my opinion. And I know that there are people that really enjoy each other's company like that. But again, I really worry about codependency when I see couples together all the time in their free time, like when they're not working or sleeping. Is like, we don't have to do everything together. I really need to be able to have some of my own time. I think that's it on that. Another suggestion I make to clients is to create a code word. If you are in the midst of emotion and that person is struggling, and instead of having this conversation right now when they're in the midst of that, being able to say, chicken noodle soup. That's our code word. And we both know with that code word what that means, is that the situation is getting out of control, and we both need to back up, and we both need to be able to calm down, and we need to be able to come back to that at a later time. So create that code word when you guys are in a healthy, positive space, so that the conversation is light, and the conversation is about empowering and supporting each other, and it's not about you. is that you're really encouraging the connection between the two of you by, we're in this together. So having that code word can be very, very helpful to de-escalate a situation really fast and not be reactive. And one of you has to be able to walk away. Because remember, if you're having conflict with somebody, it takes two people to have conflict, at least two people. So if one of you walks away, the conflict has ended. And so that takes a skill set, and that takes practice. All right, so one of the things I'm going to do today is I'm going to unbox Calm. This was a subscription box that I purchased. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to know what was in here, and to see if this was something that I wanted to do and wanted to be able to share the information with you guys as well. So this is what it looks like when you open it, and it has this cool card on here. So reflection, you can enjoy the reflection anytime and anywhere. What is bringing you joy right? Oh my God, this smells marvelous. Ugh. And I ordered this in December, so it's probably why that, I'll share that in a minute with you. But what is bringing you joy right now? That is a great question to ask. You know, right now, with all the isolation, I mean, I'm kind of struggling, to be really, really honest and transparent. And so I've reached out to some community gardens here where I am staying in California. And I'm going to be doing some volunteering for these community gardens because I need to be able to find some joy. So being able to reflect, like, what brings me joy right now? But the act of reflection might take the form of quiet time. I love it. Okay, so this is a reflection box. So we've got essential oil cleaning wipes. I love it. And so this looks like it's citrus and lavender. Let's open it, shall we? Oh, they smell marvelous. So there's 15 in there. So these are easily, you could throw in your bag or put in the car to clean your hands, because you know citrus is a natural cleaner and antiviral. So we've got that. We've got, oh, this is a little jewelry. Okay, silky now. Oh, looky here. So this is an ohm necklace. And I could be here for the rest of my life. I'll have to detangle that. But look, it's got the little ohm charm. And then I'll have to figure out what stones these are. I love it. So this is from gojewelrydesign.com. And when I post this video on YouTube, I'll include this information about the Calm box as well. Very nice. I love it. All right, let's see. And I think this box was 30 bucks. So here's a mindfulness pin. So sometimes taking 3 deep breaths is enough to reduce anxiety, release negative emotions, focus, or calm down. That simple breathing exercise is the inspiration behind this breathe pin, where each circle represents a breath. How cool is that? Can you see that? There we go. And it looks like it has a magnetic back, so you don't have to poke it through your clothes. So how cool if you wanted to put that on your clothing just as a visual reminder. All right. Oh, yes. I was actually out of my chamomile tea. So this is chamomile and lavender herbal tea, and it looks like I was sent 6 sachets. Awesome. I think this is very much worth 30 bucks. I might do this on a regular basis. Cranberry balsam soap. I cannot tell you how good this smells. And again, I ordered this in December. Let's see. And it's all natural ingredients. Coconut oil. Very paraben free. cruelty-free and vegan. Nice. All right. What else do we have here? Pomegranate. I bet this is this is a face mask. Awesome. I love it. Moisturizing, firming, and lifting. I need all that. And then also was sent this mindfulness calendar. So it's about a 5x7 sheet. Well, actually book. Okay. So if you're somebody that has, you know, your desk at home, I probably will hang this up in here somewhere. Awesome. I love it. All right. Those are some awesome goodies in there. So we've got the mindfulness calendar. We got the 2 pieces of jewelry, which I'm definitely going to wear the necklace. I love that. We've got the essential oil wipes, the face mask, the big giant bar of soap. Not a little, but a big giant bar of soap. And my 6 chamomile lavender tea sachets. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items that came in this box. And again, I want to say it was like 30 bucks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So I will include this information when I post this video. But go check them out. I think you can either do like 1 month, or you can subscribe and unsubscribe whenever you want to. I think it's a great way to take care of yourself, especially right now. We're all struggling. We're all inside. We're isolated. I was talking to a girlfriend who said that she was in a Facebook group, and that it was crazy how the spouses, primarily women, were talking about their spouses and their partners, and how, like, just the littlest things were setting them off. Like, do you have to breathe that way? Can you stop chewing that way? So I think we all need a little calm in our lives. So I'll put the information in the description box on the in YouTube when I post this video. But that's all I've got for today. Tune in next week. I will do another video regarding love. I don't know what the topic is off the top of my head, so you'll have to follow me and stay tuned. It'll be 11:30 Central Time on Wednesday, live here on Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting and watching. I appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye.